It was a quiet Sunday morning in the small town of Maplewood, California. The sun had just started to rise, painting the sky with shades of gold and pink. The streets were calm, except for one small figure, running across the corner bakery with a crumpled $5 bill in his hand. That little boy was Eli Parker, only 8 years old, with messy blonde hair, bright blue eyes, and a heart bigger than the world itself. Every Sunday, Eli would walk past the same flower shop, Lily's Blooms, a cozy little place, filled with the scent of roses and lavender. But that morning, something was different. He stopped in front of the glass door, stared at the colorful bouquets inside, and took a deep breath. Then he stepped in. Inside the flower shop, the bell chimed softly as he entered. Behind the counter, Miss Lily, a kind woman in her 50s, with silver hair tied neatly, smiled. "Well, good morning, sweetheart," she said warmly.
"You're up early? Looking for flowers for your mom?"
Eli hesitated for a moment and shook his head.
"No, ma'am," he said softly, "not for my mom."
Lily paused. "Oh, then who are they for?" He looked down at the counter, his fingers nervously playing with the crumpled bill. "It's for someone who doesn't get flowers anymore." Lily's smile faded slightly, curiosity replacing it. She didn't ask more. She just nodded. "That's a sweet thing to do, honey. What kind of flowers would you like?" Eli's eyes scanned the shop. He pointed at a small bunch of white lilies, simple, pure, and beautiful. "These," he said. She liked these. The boy thanked her, tucked the flowers carefully under his arm, and walked down the empty street. The world around him seemed so peaceful, birds singing, leaves rustling. But his little heart carried a quiet weight. He turned into a small path that led to the Maplewood Cemetery. The iron gates creaked as he pushed them open. Eli walked slowly through the rows of headstones until he reached one at the far corner. Hi, it was small, old, and carved with gentle care. The name read, "Grace Miller, beloved teacher and friend." Eli knelt down beside the grave and gently placed the flowers in front of it. "Hi, Miss Miller," he whispered. "It's me, Eli." His voice trembled, but he smiled through it. "I brought you flowers. I know it's been a year since you left, but I still remember what you said. To always be kind, even when no one's watching." He brushed a bit of dust off the stone. "I miss your stories. You always said flowers make people happy. So, I wanted to make you happy too." A tear rolled down his cheek. He quickly wiped it away and sat in silence for a while. Miss Grace Miller had been his elementary school teacher. She was the first person who ever believed in him. When other kids laughed at him for being shy, she told him, "Quiet hearts often hold the loudest kindness." And when his parents fought at home, she always made sure he had a smile before the day ended. At that moment, a man who had been walking his dog nearby stopped. He watched the little boy kneeling beside the grave, holding tiny flowers with such care. Moved by the sight, he approached slowly. "Hey, buddy," he said softly. "Those are beautiful flowers. Is she your mom?" Eli shook his head. "No, sir. She was my teacher. She used to bring flowers for everyone, but now no one brings her any." The man's eyes softened. He looked at the name on the stone, then back at the boy. "She must have been a very special lady." Eli nodded. "She was. She said kindness doesn't stop when someone's gone. It keeps growing, like flowers." The man smiled faintly, and for a moment, something changed inside him. He knelt beside Eli and whispered, "Would you mind if I brought her some next time too?" Eli looked up, surprised, then smiled brightly. "You can. She'd like that." The next Sunday, when Eli returned, he wasn't alone. The man, whose name was Robert, was already there, holding a bunch of yellow tulips.
and behind him, 2 more people stood, each with flowers of their own. Word had spread around town about the little boy who bought flowers for his late teacher every week. Soon, the once forgotten grave became a small garden. Lilies, tulips, roses, all blooming together. Eli never asked for attention.
He just kept showing up, smiling, placing his flowers first. People started calling it the Garden of Grace. A letter in the ground. One day, Miss Lily from the flower shop came with him. She watched him place his usual white lilies and asked, "Eli, how did you know Miss Miller liked those?" He smiled softly and said, "Because she told me, the day before she went to heaven." He pulled a small folded note from his pocket and placed it beside the flowers. "I wrote her a letter," he said. "I told her that town is being kind again, just like she wanted." Miss Lily's eyes filled with tears. She whispered, "You're keeping her alive in the best way, sweetheart." Eli just smiled. "Kindness doesn't die, ma'am. It just waits for someone to carry it."
1 year later, a year later, the Maplewood Cemetery looked different. Miss Miller's grave had become a symbol of kindness for the whole town. Every Sunday, people came with their children, bringing fresh flowers, sharing stories, and leaving notes of gratitude. Eli, now a little older, still came every week, his heart just as pure, his faith in kindness just as strong. He would sit by the grave and whisper, "You did it, Miss Miller. You made everyone kind again." The story of a little boy and his teacher reminded an entire town that kindness never fades. It multiplies. Sometimes one small act, one flower, one smile, one memory, can heal more hearts than we'll ever know. Because love doesn't need recognition. It just needs to be shared. Kindness is the seed that never stops growing. Just have to plant it.